Hi, everybody. This week's module deals with one of the most important topics in addiction science, which is how to write and publish a scientific paper. Scientific papers are the main medium of communication among scientists. And in the addiction field, we've got a large number of journals that are high quality and publish the bulk of addiction research. There are also many disciplinary journals in areas like psychology, psychiatry, public health, biology, neuroscience that also publish articles on addiction. This week, the readings will introduce you to the types of journals that are available, and at the same time will help you to understand how to prepare an article that can be accepted by a journal. So we want to familiarize you with the practical business of preparing a scientific article. We're also going to introduce you to topics that will show you how to conduct a state-of-the-art critical literature review. And literature reviews can be used as systematic reviews of the literature. They can be used as a way of conducting a meta-analysis to summarize the results across many studies, or they can be used for a grant application or just the introduction to a scientific paper that's based on data. Regardless of how you're going to use the literature, you really need to know how to critically review the literature to make sure you haven't missed anything, and also to be able to present it in a way that is critical. What that means is that you need to present both articles and findings that support your particular point of view or your hypothesis or your theory, and you need to cover the literature that doesn't support it. And you need to present both in ways that are critical of the science that goes into that literature. In most cases, this is providing an assessment of the methodological quality of the articles that you're reviewing. The reason this is important is not just because of honesty. It's also because when reviewers are looking at your systematic review or the introduction to your paper in terms of the literature review, they are chosen as peer reviewers because they have expertise in your area of addiction science. And they know that literature perhaps better than you do. So it's really important for them to feel comfortable with your writing, because if they're not, and you're sloppy in presenting literature, missing references, not citing them appropriately, not presenting them in a critical way, if a reviewer detects that, it's going to affect the way they judge the rest of your article. So for a variety of reasons, you need to read and understand what you're citing. You need to cite it accurately, and you need to cite opposite points of view. And all of that is going to be covered in the readings and exercises in this week's module. A second purpose of this module is to show you how to choose a scientific journal to send your article to. There are numerous considerations to take into account, which are described in the readings from Publishing Addiction Science. The good news is that there are many journals to choose from, more than 100 in the addiction field. Some are focused specifically on alcohol and other substances, others, as I mentioned, on the disciplines that you might be working in, like psychology. The bad news is that there is a new type of journal, often with titles that are very specific to an area of addiction, that are designed to make money for a publisher or somebody who's out to scam you by taking your money through a PayPal account and not publishing your article, but giving you the pretense that you are publishing something. And indeed, what they do is take a software package, put your article into that package, pretend that there was a review, give you feedback, which is often minimal, and then publish your article as a single article in a PDF. And maybe it will get into Google Scholar, but it is not widely distributed in the search engines that people use to find scientific papers. That is compromising the integrity of science because these predatory publishers, as they're called, are making money without improving the communication within the scientific field. And the second problem with that is that authors who publish in these journals are increasingly being cited by their employers. If you're in an academic institution, you work in a research center, if you're a postdoc, you'll be judged in part by the journals you publish in. And if you publish in a journal that's operated by a rogue predatory publisher, it could damage your career. And what we'll do this week is give you an understanding how to avoid that problem. Finally, let's talk about the honor of being an author on a scientific paper. In order to partake in that honor, you need to be a good writer. Good scientific writing requires skill, it requires discipline, it requires practice, and an aptitude to organize your thoughts and present them in clear sentences. But many addiction scientists also publish as secondary authors. So they don't have to write the whole article, but by being a member of a research team, you can still engage in this exciting enterprise of publishing articles. Regardless of whether you play a primary role or a secondary role, you'll find that scientific publishing is both very challenging and very rewarding. It represents sometimes the culmination of years of work. So it's important to learn how to do it efficiently and effectively, and that's what we're going to be talking about and reading about this week.